2 months had passed since the divorce, and I was still learning how to live with the quiet that filled my empty home. The evenings stretched endlessly, and the mornings felt colder than I remembered. I often caught myself drifting back into old memories, replaying conversations, wondering when everything had started to fall apart. I wasn't angry anymore, just drained, hollow, and unsure of what came next. One rainy evening, I sat by the window with a cup of tea when a sudden knock broke the silence. I wasn't expecting anyone. Visitors had become rare since the separation. When I opened the door, my breath caught. Standing before me was Emma, my ex-wife's younger sister. She looked uneasy, clutching her umbrella like a shield, her gaze darting away from mine as though she was unsure if she should even be there. "Can I come in?" she asked quietly. I hesitated for a moment before stepping aside. Seeing her there felt strange. Emma had always been kind but distant during my marriage. We were never close. The air felt heavy as she sat down, weighed by the unspoken history between us, the wreckage of my marriage to her sister. She started by saying she wasn't there to cause trouble. She told me she'd been struggling with guilt, burdened by things she knew about the marriage that I didn't. My stomach tightened. I thought I had already buried that chapter, yet she was about to reopen it. Emma confessed that my ex-wife had been unfaithful long before our separation. She had tried to talk sense into her, warning her that it was cruel to keep lying to me, but her words had fallen on deaf ears. Emma's voice trembled as she admitted she couldn't keep the truth from me any longer. She said it wasn't fair that I continued living in ignorance, carrying blame that wasn't mine. Listening to her, I felt the air leave my lungs. I had suspected deceit, but I never had proof. So I'd chosen peace over confrontation, convincing myself that love had simply faded. Now I realized my trust had been broken long before the papers were signed. Anger started to rise inside me, not only at my ex-wife, but at myself for being so blind. Emma reached across the table, her hand shaking. "You deserved better," she said softly. I couldn't stay silent anymore. For the first time in months, I felt seen, not as a failed husband, but as someone betrayed. Her honesty brought a strange mix of pain and relief, pain for the deception, relief for finally knowing. We talked for hours. She told me how her sister had changed, becoming selfish, careless, even cruel. Their relationship as sisters had fractured under the weight of her choices. Emma looked exhausted, ashamed, as if she bore part of her sister's sins. I thanked her for her courage. It couldn't have been easy to stand against family. She told me she just wanted me to move on, to stop carrying the ghosts of unanswered questions. When she left that night, I stood by the door for a long time, listening to the rain. Something inside me cracked. All the restraint I'd held onto, trying to be calm, to be noble, suddenly felt like weakness. The truth burned through every wall I'd built. I couldn't stop picturing her lies, the nights she hadn't come home, the smug look on her face during our last argument. My hands shook. The rage I thought I'd buried came roaring back. By morning, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I drove to my ex-wife's house without a plan, just a consuming need to confront her. Emma's words replayed in my head as I knocked on her door. When she opened it, the surprise in her eyes told me she already knew why I was there. She tried to speak, but I cut her off, shouting every accusation, every betrayal that Emma had revealed. My voice echoed through the neighborhood as her calm facade shattered. I told her she had destroyed everything good in my life and that I would never forgive her. She called me pathetic, and something inside me snapped completely. I didn't touch her, but I tore her lies apart in front of everyone. I shouted about the affairs, the deceit, the manipulation. Curtains shifted as neighbors watched. By the time I left, she was crying, her face pale and broken, her reputation in ruins. But the drive home didn't feel like justice, it felt like ruin. The fury had scorched through me, leaving nothing but emptiness. Emma texted me later, saying she'd heard what happened and was disappointed. I never replied. 2 months after my divorce, I thought I was healing. Instead, I'd reopened every wound, destroying what little peace I had left. My ex-wife lost her mask, but I lost something far greater. My calm, my restraint, my sense of closure. The knock that night had brought me the truth, but it also pulled me into a darkness I may never escape.